Have you ever stood in front of your bank statement and felt a familiar knot tighten in your chest, as if your mind had already decided you can't afford what you desire before you even glance at the numbers? I know that feeling well because, for years I watched countless people, successful on paper, remain trapped by an invisible barrier that whispered, "Not enough," clipping their wings before they could take flight. Today, I invite you to step beyond that whisper, to dismantle the hidden beliefs that keep you chained to a life of financial frustration. When I first began studying top achievers, I discovered that the most powerful obstacle to wealth is not the market, the economy, or a lack of opportunity. It is the script we replay inside our heads. That internal narrative, which I call the hidden poverty script, convinces us that scarcity is our destiny. Imagine that every thought is a note in a symphony. If the melody repeats doubt and limitation, no amount of external success will ever feel like enough. But here's the liberating truth. You can rewrite that score. Over the next 40 minutes, we'll embark on a journey to break the 7 habits that keep you poor. I will guide you through the neuroscience myths that sabotage your progress, teach you precise daily rituals to transform vague awareness into powerful action, and reveal the emotional practices that clear the guilt and fear blocking your path. You'll learn how to harness dopamine for long-term growth, automate your decisions to eliminate choice fatigue, and build strategic alliances that accelerate your breakthroughs. By the end of this session, you will hold a clear, personalized roadmap to financial freedom. Lean in, open your mind, and prepare to reprogram your wealth mindset. Your future begins now that you're following the poverty script, an internal dialogue that keeps you broke from the moment you wake, a voice inside. You may already be whispering, "I can't afford that," or "There's never enough." I've witnessed successful professionals pause before making decisions simply because this script has wired their mind to expect shortage. It is as if an invisible narrator has taken over, replaying scenes of limitation until every new opportunity feels tainted by doubt. Yet this narrative is nothing more than a habit, one you can learn to recognize and transform. Imagine closing your eyes and listening to the strings of your own internal soundtrack. Do you hear tension, hesitation, a refrain of scarcity? For years, I studied high achievers who broke free not by chasing external gains, but by rewriting this very composition. They replaced each "I can't" with a more empowering question: "How can I?" That simple shift moved them from a defensive posture of fear into an open stance of curiosity, allowing creative solutions to emerge where once there was only resistance. Rewriting the hidden poverty script begins with awareness. Invite yourself to journal the exact words you use when money arises, whether it's optimism about a raise or dread at a bill. Notice patterns. Do you minimize your victories, magnify your setbacks? As you uncover these threads, you begin to interrupt the habit. Then, deliberately compose affirmations that counteract each limiting belief. Speak to yourself not as someone who lacks, but as someone in training for abundance. Over time, the new script will grow louder than the old, and you'll find yourself taking steps you previously believed were beyond your reach. Why doesn't saving alone generate wealth? When we think of building financial security, most of us envision a growing pile of money in a savings account, each deposit a testament to our discipline. Yet I have learned through decades of study that this belief, though well-intentioned, can lull us into a false sense of progress. Your brain, wired by evolution to seek safety, interprets every deposit as mere preservation, not as the spark of expansion. In this state, you remain tethered to scarcity, convinced that wealth is measured by what you hold, not by what you create. Neuroscience reveals that true abundance emerges when we engage the reward centers of our mind with purposeful risk and strategic allocation. Consider the investor who dares to move beyond the safe harbor of savings into the dynamic currents of stocks, real estate, or entrepreneurship. Each calculated step triggers dopamine surges associated with growth, not just protection. Over time, these positive reinforcements reshape neural pathways, training your brain to anticipate not just surviving, but thriving. The habit of planting seeds, rather than endlessly piling stones, rewires your mindset for possibility. That I recall speaking with an entrepreneur who grew his initial capital by directing just 10% of his savings into a promising venture. Rather than fearing loss, he focused on progress metrics, market reach, revenue growth, and customer impact. Each milestone released a wave of motivation, reinforcing his courage to allocate further resources. That combination of strategic risk and feedback is the very mechanism that shifts you from a preservation mindset into a creation mindset. Wealth, after all, is not a static trophy but a living ecosystem that flourishes when you nourish its roots with bold, informed decisions. Habit 1. The micro ROI daily tracking ritual. Each evening, as the day's momentum begins to slow, I invite you to spend 2 focused minutes documenting every cent that entered and exited your hands. In those quiet moments, you are not simply tallying numbers, you are cultivating clarity. I remember the first time I embraced this habit. A simple spreadsheet illuminated patterns I had long ignored, revealing small leaks in my spending that, when plugged, freed resources for meaningful growth. This ritual transforms vague financial awareness into a living tapestry of insights, showing you exactly where to redirect your energy. Picture your finances as a river, winding through landscapes of opportunity and risk. Without observation, you float downstream unaware of hidden currents or valuable tributaries. But with daily tracking, you become both explorer and cartographer, mapping each inflow and outflow. Over time, these 2 minutes foster an intimate relationship with your money, turning nebulous figures into tangible signals that guide your choices. You begin to see not just what you lose, but the true return on every action. Your personal micro-ROI. As you train yourself to observe, you'll notice subtle shifts. A recurring coffee purchase swapped for a small investment allocation, an unexpected income stream that sparks new ideas. Each insight reinforces the mantra, knowledge is power, embedding itself into your neural pathways. This daily ritual is more than bookkeeping. It is a declaration of ownership over your financial destiny, a moment of reflection that seeds consistent, incremental progress. When you commit to this practice, you harness the power of awareness, and awareness, in turn, becomes the foundation of transformation. There is a dopamine shift in your spending. You should redirect the pleasure to investments. Every time you click buy, a familiar surge of excitement courses through your brain, as if you've unlocked a hidden level of reward. I discovered that this same dopamine cascade can propel you toward lasting abundance when you learn to associate it not with fleeting purchases, but with strategic investments. Instead of a brief high from a new gadget or a lavish meal, imagine feeling that same thrill as you watch your assets appreciate. Knowing each decision is building your future. In my own journey, I noticed how easily I traded that rush of satisfaction for temporary goods until I began pairing every impulse to spend with a parallel impulse to invest. When I felt the pull to splurge, I paused and visualized channeling a portion of that budget into a growth opportunity, stocks, real estate syndicates, or even a personal development course that yields lifelong returns. Over time, this conditioned my mind to equate true pleasure with progress, transforming what once was a dopamine drain into a wellspring of motivation for wealth creation. Visualize your financial life as a complex instrument panel, each gauge representing a reward circuit. Every small purchase nudges 1 meter, but a well-placed investment sends multiple gauges soaring. As you redirect your neural rewards toward assets that compound, you rewire your brain's pleasure center to crave the kind of investments that multiply value over years and decades. This shift does not happen overnight, but with consistency you will catch yourself anticipating the next surge from your growing portfolio rather than a momentary acquisition. And in that anticipation lies the power to break the habit that keeps you poor. Habit 2. The zero decision expense pre-commitment. Each morning, before the clamor of daily choices begins, I set my financial course on autopilot by locking in fixed allocations, an amount destined for investments, savings, and essentials, long before any temptation arises. In doing so, I protect my future self from the fatigue and second-guessing that inevitably accompany dozens of decisions, minute by minute. This pre-commitment transforms willpower from a scarce resource into a silent partner, working steadily in the background even on days when resolve feels weak. That I recall the relief of waking on a hectic Monday, knowing that my investment and saving. Targets had already been dispatched automatically. Free from the mental burden of allocating funds, I could focus on higher value activities, seeking opportunities, refining strategies, and cultivating creativity. Over time, I noticed a remarkable shift. My sense of control deepened, not because I fought every impulse in real time, but because I had eliminated the need to fight it all. The act of pre-commitment became my shield against inconsistency. Visualize this habit as programming a thermostat. Once you set the ideal temperature, you no longer adjust it every few minutes. Your financial thermostat quietly regulates the flow of resources toward growth, ensuring that each week, month, and year builds on the last. By removing the burden of choice, you conserve mental energy for the decisions that truly matter, and you steady your progress on the path to lasting abundance. The quicksand of emotional debt. Let's tackle financial guilt in 2 minutes. Deep beneath our financial behaviors lies a residue of past mistakes, a silent weight of regret that clings to each decision we make. I've observed that unaddressed shame over overspending or poor investments can act like emotional quicksand, pulling us downward whenever we attempt to move forward. Confronting this burden swiftly can clear the path for responsible choices and rebuild our confidence in handling money. I remember the moment I recognized my own financial guilt. The recollection of a misguided venture that cost not only capital, but self-assurance. Rather than allowing those feelings to fester, I developed a concise ritual of release. In under 2 minutes, I would acknowledge the mistake without judgment, express forgiveness to myself as if speaking to a trusted friend, and mentally set down the heavy load I had been carrying. That simple act of compassionate acknowledgement dissolved the power of past errors to sabotage future discipline. Envision guilt as a shadow that grows longer with each step you hesitate to take. By shining the light of rapid forgiveness, you shrink that shadow until it no longer blocks your progress. As that weight lifts, you reclaim mental space and emotional energy once devoted to self-reproach, redirecting them toward constructive financial actions. In doing so, you affirm that your past does not dictate your future, and you fortify your resolve to navigate each new opportunity with clarity and courage. Habit 3. The automated income multipliers. In the landscape of wealth creation, the most powerful streams often run quietly beneath the surface, compounding steadily without daily attention. I discovered that by establishing low-effort, high-impact revenue channels, such as royalties, affiliate partnerships, or micro-investments, I could transform my earnings into a self-sustaining engine. Each automated multiplier, once set into motion, functions like a seed planted deep underground, drawing nutrients quietly and preparing to burst forth into abundance. When I first embraced this approach, I chose a project whose returns were modest but reliable, a licensing agreement on a training program I had developed. While I focused on my primary ventures, that agreement generated income every month, requiring no active involvement. The beauty of these multipliers lies in their ability to free your time and mental space, enabling you to pursue new opportunities while your existing assets continue to grow. As each stream contributes its drop, the collective river of income swells, carrying you toward greater financial freedom. Picture an orchard of fruit trees. The initial planting demands effort, but once the roots take hold, the trees bear fruit, season after season. In the same way, your automated income multipliers yield returns over time, their power magnified by the magic of compounding. By diversifying across several of these channels, you create a resilient portfolio that weathers market shifts and personal fluctuations. With each reinvestment of proceeds, the cycle intensifies, and before long you find that your money works tirelessly on your behalf, allowing you to focus on the vision ahead. There is a wealth catalyst, namely strategic financial alliances. Throughout my career, I've seen individuals accelerate their progress when they surround themselves with peers who share equally ambitious financial goals. When you gather in a small group committed to transparency, accountability, and shared resources, the collective intelligence and mutual support become a powerful engine that propels every member forward. I discovered that these alliances not only expand your network, but also challenge limiting beliefs, inspire innovative strategies, and provide the encouragement needed to pursue bold moves. Imagine convening with a handful of driven colleagues every 2 weeks, each reporting wins, setbacks, and next steps. As you listen to their breakthroughs and struggles, you gain fresh perspectives on your own challenges. Their successes spark ideas you never considered. Their setbacks teach you cautionary lessons. In this dynamic, your individual journey transforms into a shared expedition. Every insight contributed becomes a resource you can draw upon. Every commitment you make is reinforced by the group's collective energy. I witnessed one mastermind where 3 members pooled expertise to launch a joint investment that none could have undertaken alone, and within months, their combined returns far exceeded what they might have achieved separately. Forming these strategic alliances begins by identifying people whose values align with your own and whose aspirations push you beyond your comfort zone. Setting clear objectives, whether it's reaching a specific net worth, launching a new venture, or mastering an investment strategy, gives the group purpose. As you meet, you calibrate your individual plans against the wisdom of the collective, refining tactics and maintaining momentum. Over time, this network becomes your catalyst, amplifying every action you take and opening doors to opportunities that would remain hidden to a solitary seeker. By leveraging the power of shared accountability and diverse expertise, you transform your financial trajectory and join a community committed to lifting each other toward greater heights that reflect on how each habit we explored builds upon the last. From uncovering the hidden poverty script to debunking the neuroscience myth that equates saving with true wealth. From the 2-minute micro ROI tracking ritual and the redirection of dopamine toward investments, to the zero-decision pre-commitment that frees your willpower. From releasing the burden of emotional debt to planting automated income multipliers that grow in the background, and finally to forging strategic financial alliances that accelerate every breakthrough. Together, these 7 shifts form a cohesive system that transforms scarcity into abundance, hesitation into decisive action, and isolation into shared success. Feel into the power now coursing through your mindset, how awareness sharpens your vision, how strategic risk awakens your reward circuits, and how automated systems and trusted alliances sustain your forward momentum. This is not theory. It is a living framework I have used to guide countless individuals out of financial stagnation and into a life of purpose, freedom, and continuous growth. You possess everything needed to break the habits that kept you poor and to step confidently into a future defined by choice, opportunity, and abundance. Decide today who you will become. Let this be the moment you commit to your prosperity, one action, one mindset shift, one alliance at a time. If this message resonated with you, join our community by subscribing to the channel and ensure you never miss the insights that will fuel your transformation. Your path to financial freedom and meaningful impact begins now. Let's walk it together.